Hello, everybody. Welcome to a very impromptu live stream here on the Blue Abroad YouTube channel. There are a few bits of news that have floated around today, and so I thought it would be much more efficient to get here live. There's a few videos that I want to watch together for those of you who haven't watched them, and also just to get your reaction on the things that have happened over the last few days. Stay up to speed with everything and get ready for an interesting Thursday. This won't take long. We'll be here for about an hour or so, and we'll go from there. I want to touch on the TDK compensation pick update. We have seen some reports about that. No surprise there. But more interestingly, the idea that Carlton might be open to trading that pick and what's going to happen there. We're going to touch on the new GM of football. He did an interview today with Carlton Media, so we will watch that. And then we will also touch on some other trade whispers and rumors. We spoke about Sam Flanders yesterday. Jaidyn Stephenson has had a run in the on the online space today. I don't know where you all sit with that one, but we'll get through everything. Like I said, very impromptu. Joel, first in. You have seen the Chris Davies interview. You think he's going to be excellent for Carlton. Pragmatic, diligent, determined, and assertive. Finally, a GM who's not clueless. Hey, Chills. Hello, Lana. And hello, GZ4. Good to have you here. And if you are watching this after the fact, good to have you watching this video. I think we should start with the GM of football because that was what we saw today. Now, this is a 24-minute interview. We're not going to watch the 24 minutes. But we are going to watch a good chunk of it. So I'm going to play it here. We can watch it together and we can get some reaction because I've got a few thoughts on this one.
Welcome to Carlton. The navy blue looks very good on you. How does it feel?
No, look, it has felt great to be here for the past couple of days, meeting people. It's been a long couple of weeks thinking about actually getting here, and I'm certainly looking forward to the players getting back at some point and re-establishing, the staff for 2026.
Many clubs and the AFL reportedly have tried getting you over to Victoria. Our club was able to do that. I guess the obvious, probably first question to start off with is why Carlton?
Some of that has been overstated over time. I've been thankful that the work that I had done at Port Adelaide was regarded reasonably highly, and it felt the right time to leave Port Adelaide, and the opportunity at Carlton was way too good to pass up.
You mentioned at the time in your announcement that you're all in when sort of Graham presented you with the vision he sort of had for the football club. Can you sort of take us into those discussions that you had with Graham that ultimately led you to feeling that Carlton was the ideal fit for you to continue your career?
Yeah, it was very much about freshness for a new year, putting together a program that was going to take the club forward, not just for 2026, but into the future. And with my experience, certainly felt like the right time and felt like a great opportunity to be at, a club such as this.
We sat down with.
So that's the introduction. I'm going to skip ahead here where he starts talking about trade period, starts talking about performance and the environment, his assessment of the playing list, and then also the game style, his philosophy on that. So we'll just skip ahead here. I reckon it was about here.
We stock the coaching group and look forward to next year.
Another matter of priority coming up, and everyone in football circles is talking about it more so than probably the finals at the moment, but trade period. How involved will you be in the upcoming trade period?
Yeah, it's hard to get away from trade period when most people are interested in it from round one, isn't it? Nick Austin will lead that for this club. We've got Graham, who has been looking at the program for a period of time, who has a great deal of experience in that area as well. I mean, I'll play whatever role the club needs me to play from here on in, but I'll definitely have a role. What that is to be determined from here.
there seems to be touched on a number of priorities, but as a general manager of football, and you said this week you're meeting a lot of people and the head can spin in your first week in the role, but what are your immediate priorities as the general manager of football at Carlton?
Well, it's to get to know the people. Ultimately, the performance of the team will be a byproduct of the environment that we set, working with people's strengths. What I have seen over time is that a great deal of focus gets put on what clubs don't have instead of thinking about what we do have and working with that. I think that will be something that I can certainly help the group with. But re-establishing what 2026 needs to look like with a whole new group of people. I mean, that will be the reality. Is there is always change. I think freshness for this group will be good. What that ultimately looks like when we're putting it together remains to be seen. But I'm sure that we'll have a group here who is good enough to take the club forward into the future.
Your credentials are well known. 11 years as general manager of football at Port Adelaide, helped lead the Power to 3 of the last 5 prelims. But just curious to know, how did you come to pursue a career as a general manager of football?
Well, I mean, my background from a sporting perspective was cricket. There was a time where I was hoping to play cricket for Australia, and it didn't quite happen, namely because I wasn't good enough. I had some injuries along the way, and when I finished playing cricket, I ended up in Melbourne working in cricket and headed back to South Australia, and the job that I got was with Woodville West Torrens in the SNFL, and so that was the start of my football journey, and have always wanted to try and be as good as I possibly could be at whatever job it was, and fortunate that I was able to land at Port Adelaide for such a long period of time. A club there who probably took a chance on me, to be honest, and I hope I repaid that over 10 years to the point where I've left there with a great deal of good relationships, but also ready for the next step in my own personal career.
What is the biggest part out of your bit over a decade of Port Adelaide that you're looking to take based on all your experience there and bring it into your role now at Carlton?
I think that depth of experience is important. At Port Adelaide, they have gone through different iterations of performance, some sustained performance without quite getting to where that club ultimately wanted to go. And I think all of that will stand me in good stead for the future. Definitely thinking that I'm ready for the next challenge, though, and ready for what Carlton has in store for me.
I'm conscious I'm asking you this question only your 3rd day sort of in around the footy club, but your assessment of the playing list and where it currently sits. There's already has been a bit of change since the season finished, but what's your assessment of the current Carlton playing list?
Yeah, I think that injuries play a significant part in performance in many respects. Injuries to your better players has become a key driver in teams' performances. You don't have to look too deeply into the players that we had out this year to think about where our performances could have been better and can be better into the future. I think the list is better than where it performed in 2025. But again, that's from an outside perspective, and there's no what you will know is you'll get no bold sort of declarations from me. Everything that I do will be about how we can do things better from a day-to-day perspective in order to get to where we ultimately want to go. The trade period will be important to that as well.
What do you think we can expect from Carlton heading into next year?
Well, I think that what you can expect from me is that we're going to be driving performance from the minute that the players come back. You can't fast forward to the end of the year in November. You've got to be ready to go. The players have got to have good off seasons, look after themselves where they need to, have a good break, but come back ready to go so that we're not wasting any time. premierships can't be won in November, but they can certainly be lost. And I think we've got to be well planned. The players have got to come back in good nick. The coaches have got to be ready for when the players come back, so that we don't waste any time, because time is of the essence.
Our AFL players are sort of all over the world at the moment, judging by the Instagram feeds. But have you had a chance to touch base with any of them so far?
I mean, fortunately, Instagram's not my thing, so I have no jealousy as to where those players might be at the moment. But look, a number of them have reached out through the last few weeks, and I'm appreciative of that. I've definitely, as I say, I've definitely felt welcomed by both players and staff and people who support the club. So that's been nice for my family and I. Patrick's I've had a couple of discussions with him on the phone. I think I've got a clear understanding of what he thinks is important into the future. And as I say, I really look forward to seeing what role I can play for the group. I'm sure I can be helpful. I've just got to find what areas I can be helpful in.
The AFL team style of play has been really focused on that contest and pressure side of things and winning things at the source and pressuring the opponents. But just interesting seems to be this debate in football circles at the moment, contest versus transition. Like, do you sort of see it that way? Do you seem to? What's your thoughts on, I guess, how the game should be played?
I think there's balance in everything, right? My view is that you've got to have a balanced all-round game, and indexing too far into contest or transition, ultimately won't end in the team performing as well as it can be. So I'll definitely be preaching having a balanced all-round game to our coaches. Clearly, there's going to be areas of our game that we're just naturally going to be better at, and contest has been one thing that Carlton has been very good at over time. Certainly, I know is a focus of Michael's, what Michael wants, and that's absolutely fair. My role at this club won't be to get too deep into the strategy outside of challenging it. That's a responsibility of the coaches, and that's something that needs to be really clear. I'm not coming in as any sort of tactical genius. This is about me driving the program overall, and the coaches coming up with a game plan that's going to be sustainable and lead the team to greater success maybe than what we showed in 2025.
Is that the focus heading into the trade and draft? And from an acquisition standpoint, is adding players who will complement what we have currently and ultimately lead to a more balanced sort of game style across the field?
Look, I'm sure. Again, I'd say that Nick and the recruiting guys will lead that through that next period of time. I've got a view from the outside that certainly we can lift standards in a number of areas, and we've got to try and do that through the trade and draft period.
You've had a chance to.
So there's a lot more to it. You can go and watch that interview yourselves. What were the things that stood out to you from that? He doesn't start until November. So it was interesting to see that he had sat down for a 24, 25-minute interview to talk about everything. I mean, maybe I'll ask you, what did you see from that interview? What stood out to you? Johnny Holden, great football person from what you can tell. Both him and Wright look tough yet wise. Good football background, not business CEO types. Interesting. Footy club over the mates club. There were two things that stuck out to me about the way he spoke. Three. Using the term "we" straight off the bat. It's like he has always been a Carlton supporter, but using the term "we," referring to the coach as Michael and not Vossi, and he doesn't use as much. He sits with his thought, and we all say from time to time, but it's not a big feature of the way he speaks. He speaks clearly, which is what I remember from him the whole time that I've seen him operate. So having said that, it's not even day one yet, but we'll see. Petra, hello. GW setting up some key roles. People he can work with, high standards and getting better are key buzzwords. In the end, it's about improvement and results. Yeah. And there was also one quote here. He said his philosophy that performance is a byproduct of the environment. Dione, hello from Dubai. What are you doing in Dubai, Dione? Rob, you notice the balance between contest and transition, what we've been asking for. Sam, the premiership talk stood out to you. I have said it for a long time. We've needed outside people from successful clubs. Success breeds success. How do you know how to breed success if it's not brought into the club? Still very vague, which shows he's not had a good look at everything yet. I'd say he hasn't even met most of the playing list. Chris, they're pulling you back in.
What is he doing?
He's beginning to believe.
Already? Damn, man. He's channeling Milhana. Josh, he gives you a no bullshit attitude, just speaks the truth. Rick Woods, hey mate, we need a more attacking style, which means a focus on transition. Says, you get sick of the players saying, I think, I guess, and my all-time favorite. That's a great question. I get like that with the probablys. Janko, Stephen May is an option. We'll talk about him shortly. Give me 5-10 minutes. We'll just get through this Chris Davies chat and then we'll start talking about the other bits of news. How do I feel watching that? Yeah, I mean, good first impression. I've seen him operate up close and personal at his time in Port Adelaide before. I've always mentioned him. Depending on how long you've watched the channel, I've always mentioned him. I've always been impressed by him. And I've noted many times the way he speaks. I think he's going to be able to take over some press conferences from Michael Voss. I think if I'm being brutally honest, when I finished watching that interview, I said to myself, how the fuck did Brad Lloyd stay at the club for so long? I mean, no disrespect to him as a person, but, you know, the environment and the culture of the place is just not, and the high performance that we were sold, it just wasn't happening. And he was the head of football for a long time, way too long, in my opinion. And so that was my honest first thought. Like, how the fuck did we not get this move happening earlier than what we did? So do you sit and wallow in it? You cry about it that it didn't happen soon enough, or do you appreciate that it's happened now, whether it's too late or not? I don't know. Reality is we've got to move forward. Damage has been done, but I just don't know how we didn't make this move earlier and how this head of football role wasn't a priority earlier. Because I'm already watching him speak and I mean, he hasn't even met everyone and he's made me believe what he's saying more than what Brad Lloyd did in 7 years. So that was my honest feeling watching that. Dione, you've got so many updates to watch. Well, that's why we're here, because there's 3 or 4. So I thought we'd do them all in one. Nice quick live show. Ben, you love how deadpan he was until asked about how he feels about being back at the club. His whole face lit up. He is he was, obviously worked at Port, but he was a mad Carlton fan. Lucinda and Jen, appreciate it now. That's all there is. Of course. Of course. Johnny, always spoken highly of Chris. So is Josh, who saw it firsthand in Adelaide when he lived there for 8 years. Watched the rebuild he created. Yeah. So, look, a Graham Wright, CEO, football person, as they say. When's the last time we had a football CEO that wasn't business focused? Do you know what I'm trying to say there? I'm trying to think. I don't remember. Yeah. I don't remember. That footy guy. Hello, Sam. If he sets up the football department in a position to win in the long term, behavior and mindset changes, which is what he's talking about, we give ourselves the best chance to win. Petra, it was 2023 that saved Lloyd. The club thought they were close to making a grand final. First impressions. I can't imagine that he would send dick pics. Yeah, that's very good. Ben, I enjoy the new person who was asking the questions. Yes, that's Will. Very good. I like the way he asks the questions and he just slows the pace down of the questions and just asks them clearly. And he's got a really nice voice. I agree. When's the last time we had a combo like these two? True. Chris Broberg, we need someone besides Vossi to help him out, like Mark Williams and Ken Hinckley. Okay. Rick, it was the Ian Collins era. Okay. Some real juicy and transparent questions asked. Yeah, that's Will. That's the media manager. Yeah. All right. So, Sam, you love the no bullshit questions. Felt like a genuine fan was asking. Yeah. All right. So the next piece of news that we'll touch on is just some talk about the compensation pick for TDK. So I'll set this up here. This is the talk about it here on Gettable.
Steve wants to know, will there be much draft order movement right throughout the trade period?
Well, let's look at the top 10 here as it stands. This is pre-compensation picks coming in. So we have West Coast and Richmond, Essendon, and Gold Coast, St Kilda, Hawthorn, Sydney, and the Western Bulldogs. What I want to put on the radar today is that the Carlton compensation pick for Tom De Koning will be at number 9. That'll be shuffled.
So just remember, we traded away our first round pick to Hawthorn, and that's why they've got that pick 8 there.
Down to number 10 after the Oscar Allen pick comes in. Maybe even number 11 if the Sam Draper pick ends up at pick 6. But that Carlton first round pick now is on the table. Yep. It's up for sale. The Blues have told multiple clubs that are open to offers for that selection.
Right. So that's that. Pick 8, which will likely be pushed out to pick 10 or pick 11, depending on the compensation that the Bombers get for Draper on the trade table. So that was the quick update on that one. That's the TDK compensation pick. We don't yet know what the compensation pick for Jack Silvani is yet. Likely to be band 2. Not sure when we're going to find out about that. I would say within the next 2 weeks, we'll find out exactly what that's going to be. Yes, that's right. So Charlie Curnow, the next bit of news is this news? See, this is how interesting the media cycle is, right? So I'll type in Charlie Curnow, and there's a full paywall. There's a full paywall article here. It was from Damien Barrett. It's essentially Damien Barrett's opinion that Charlie's priority is Geelong number 1 with Gold Coast 2, Sydney 3. And then from that, 2 or 3 other articles have been created from there. So there's nothing that's been confirmed. It's just Damien Barrett's opinion, which has then had an article created out of it, which then Fox Footy created an article out of that, which then, yeah, that's right. So take with that what you will. Bloody Geelong. I don't exactly know how that is even possible. El Maso, exactly. It's not news. It's not worthy of a video in itself, but that story just keeps going. It's so fascinating because, I mean, yeah, everything from Carlton just picks to Charlie being there next year. Everything from everywhere else speaks to him not being there. So we will see. Tom, trade Charlie in pick 10 to Gold Coast for Flanders Humphreys, pick 16 and a future first. Don't think we will get Walters, unfortunately. I would take Bailey Humphrey in a deal. That. That is the prototype of the modern player. I'm a big fan of him. Big fan of him. And then the next one, which I can kind of see why people were talking about this one. The next one was Stephen May. So it was reported today that he'd be leaving Melbourne. I have my own opinion on this, but I want to get yours first. What do you make of the Stephen May news? So he won't be at the D's next year, according to reports. He's 33 years old. He'll be 34 in January. I guess on the one hand, could be the experience, premiership player, that sort of thing. Maybe a stopgap year. Well, Harry O'Farrell recovers and Harry Dean learns his craft. But yeah, on the other end, I'm just not sure. Has he got his head screwed on off field? I know there's been issues there. Is that someone that's going to add to culture? Is he going to be part of the solution to the cultural issues that we've got? Or is he going to be part of the problem? So that's where I'm a bit unsure on him, combined with his age. I mean, look, just because he's 33 doesn't mean he can't play footy. Just don't know. But what do you think? Joel, you're a big no. Lana, you too. Damien, not for you. Is he someone we need in depth? Well, yeah, I guess if you think McGovern will leave, for example, maybe it puts a hole there in that back line because Silvani's gone and O'Farrell won't be playing next year. So maybe. Sam Mule Hogarth, you want him. He's better than all the other key defenders besides Wiedering. Okay. Attitude finally tipped the scales, the angst versus the talent. Wordy, you're not opposed. You're not as opposed to getting him as other people are, but you don't see how we'd get it done while matching bids and getting the other players we're linked to, plus having points for Walker next year. It's not for you, Matt Lang. Christopher Broberg, not for you either. Eleanor, not for you. No, he's a hothead. Not good for culture. Yeah, the thug. Oh, yeah, that's right. Wasn't it him that knocked into Francis Evans? That's right. Yeah, forgot about that. Samuel, to be honest, the club would say no realistically. You said culture issue, same thing as Elijah Hollands. Club wants good culture. Yeah, well, see you, Joel. Speak to you tomorrow, mate. Kylie, possibly 1 year. El Masso would depend on what you have to give up. We don't have much to give up in terms of picks. I think he's out of contract. I don't think it's a trade. Let me check. He's been told to go and explore his options. Yeah, he signed a 2-year deal in February 2023. He got a 1-year deal. I think he got a 1-year deal earlier this year. Demons are keen to play the youth and can't guarantee May senior games in 2026, which is the last year of his contract. Okay, so he is contracted, therefore it would be a trade. Yeah, it's a good point. Tim Mavrikios. He would be a handy player to free up Weeders to be that interceptor. Wordy, it was a footy act. Fair. Petro, you need one player with physical presence on the ground. Controlled violence should be welcomed. Well, we don't really have any thugs, do we? No antagonists. Was he the one that had a go at Gawn? Yeah, that's the one that, I don't know, had a few words to say to Max Gawn after the D's lost that game. I've just seen an update. I don't know if this is going to be interesting for us, but Gold Coast has delisted 3 players. See if this is interesting for us. Alex Sexton, Tom Berry, and Lloyd Johnston. Sexton's departure brings one of the longest tenures in the club's history to a close, with the 31-year-old playing 14 seasons at Carrara. Interesting. Alex Sexton. And Tom Berry. Don't know if that's going to be of interest to us, but let that one play out. That's Stephen May. Got the 1 year. Would you look at Jake Lever instead? Well, I don't know if the D's are going to get rid of both. Is that in? Are you saying hypothetically, or was that something that's been reported? I haven't seen too much of that. We know explored his options and still took the wrong options. Zach, agree with the 1 year. Extra stability up the back for next season, then move him on. I don't think he'd be part of a contending Carlton. No, definitely not. Wordy, you like his on-field cuntiness, but not his off-field cuntiness. Adam, he's getting the boot from Melbourne because of culture. Well, I think he's getting the boot because they can't really guarantee him games. They want to look to the youth. We're asking Lige to look for options elsewhere to improve our culture. Why would we bring this bloke in? Lever has been reported to leave as well. I haven't seen that one. Let me see if I can pull something up here. I'd love Jake Lever. I think he's a little younger than Stephen May, no? Jake Lever. He's 29, born on the 5th of March, 1996. On the 29th of July, Tom Morris reported that North Melbourne had preliminary interest in contracted Melbourne defender Jake Lever. Let's have a look. Jake Lever extension. He signed a 4-year contract extension with Melbourne on the 3rd of September 2023, which will keep him until the end of the 2028 season. This deal followed a prior 3-year extension signed in March 2021. Okay, so there you go. There is still value in Jake Lever. So that was Stephen May. And then Aiden, this was the other one. I don't know what you think of this one. Jaidyn Stephenson, there was an article posted today, 2:36 p.m. Retired AFL rising star seeking shock comeback. Former Collingwood and North Melbourne utility Jaidyn Stephenson wants to end his brief retirement to play in the AFL next year. The 2018 Rising Star winner retired in October at the age of 25 and with a season left on his Kangaroos contract after losing his passion for the game, at least in part from North Melbourne's bulk defeats in his 4 years at the club. Stephenson has personally approached several AFL clubs, including Port Adelaide and Carlton, to gauge their interest in him, according to 3 sources who confirmed on the condition of anonymity his wish to return to the top level. He played for and captained his local club Fir Tree Gully this year, kicking 38 goals in 18 matches in Division 3 of the Eastern Football and Netball League. The likeliest scenario, one source said, was that Stephenson, who turns 27 in January, would train with a club in the hope of signing with them in the preseason supplemental selection period. He would qualify to be an SSP recruit as a retired player who has not been on an AFL list for at least 1 year. So there you go. He was picked 6 in the 2017 draft, played in only 8 wins in his 68 matches for the Kangaroos after playing in a grand final, kicking 38 goals from 26 games in his first season for the Magpies. So there you go. Doesn't really look like that's going to be anything else other than maybe a train-on player for one of these clubs. Yeah. What do you think? Not for you, Adam King. Could be really handy, won't cost much. TAB account, so that should fit into the salary cap. Yeah, Lana, that's the interesting thing. I saw the interview that he did a little while back talking about losing the passion for the game, not wanting to be around the heavy scrutiny of the game, and being content and fulfilled with where he was in his life. So good on him. If he wants to come back and have a crack at it, good luck to him. Yeah, and if bulk losses contributed to him losing his passion for footy, then Carlton will definitely make him retire for good. Oh dear. Samuel, yeah, mate, I actually did a video on both of them individually. Where have you been? Oh, also, I did a little research, not on you, Sam, but just in general. Do you know 68% of you who have watched videos in September are not subscribed to the channel. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button. But yeah, did touch on CJ. Maybe get your thoughts. What do you think about Chankwath Jaff or Buku Kamas? Buku Kamas, I did the video a few weeks ago now. Nothing's happened there because he is still a part of the Footscray VFL campaign. So he hasn't had his exit interview yet with the Western Bulldogs. So he's still going through a few things. Wouldn't be hard to lose passion at North after being at the Pies. He was a great player early. Yeah, imagine that. Kicking 38 goals or whatever it was in his first year at Collingwood. Rising star, on top of the world. I mean, you make decisions to, better your life and your career financially. And yeah, sometimes it's not worth just crossing over to the other side for the money. CJ would be very handy at halfback. Yeah, a definite asset at Carlton. Yeah, Sam, do we really want to take the risk with CJ? He's injury prone. Yeah, so admittedly by him and also Sam Mitchell, he's just got a profile, an athletic profile, and the way that he plays the short, sharp bursts and also the demands of the game, which require the short, sharp bursts and the endurance running. He is susceptible to soft tissue injuries. However, isn't everyone an injury risk? Reality here. In terms of his football ability and his attributes, I think they fit really well. I'm a bit more conservative with CJ, and I err more to the side of caution. I don't know if that's the type of risk we want to take with injury. But, even to argue against myself, there's risk with all sorts of factors. So you've got cultural risk with the Stephen May talk, Jaidyn Stephenson, Elijah Hollins. You've got go-home factor risk that clubs have. I don't know if we have those risks too much at Carlton. And then you have the injury risk. So I don't know. I mean, Sam Flanders is also one that has got back issues. So he's had an issue with his L4, L5, which is pushing into his sciatica, which, he's had pain all year. He's played through the pain. So even he's a risk with injury, and it's a back injury, which is very serious. So I don't know. But in terms of football attributes, he's definitely got what we don't have. Tim, any legitimacy about Bailey Fritsch to Carlton? Name keeps coming up from what I've read. I haven't seen this. No. Where are you reading this? I also like that you said read instead of heard. Lana, you would take both. CJ's a slight risk. Then again, our boys go down a lot anyway. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think soft tissue was an issue with us this year as much as what it has been over the last few years. It's like buying a car at an auction. Yeah. Also, as a Blue Abroad member, sign up, everyone. Yeah. Become a member. And that reminds me, tomorrow I'll be drawing out and calling someone. Maybe you, Jen. Maybe you. I will be giving out a ticket to the BNF tomorrow. So have your phones ready. And I will see who's joining me on the 6th of October at the Carlton Best and Fairest. If you are a member, you are already in. You already entered. You are welcome to buy more entries. But yeah, I could recite Sam Flanders' entire biography. I went through that video yesterday. I was talking to someone today on, I think it was Reddit, and they said, "Oh, I wish Terry would make these videos into 90-second clips." And I'm like, "Do you have any idea how hard it was to get that video?" There was so much information that I found, and just to put it all together and try and condense it as much as possible. I love storytelling. That's why I love YouTube over the short form. Like, I don't mind 60-second videos here and there, but I like to tell a story. I like to get the full picture of a story. I didn't realize the link that Sam Flanders had to Carlton initially, where he was available to be picked up at pick 11, which we then traded to Gold Coast for picks. It was like 11 and 62 for 17 and 22. We take Brody Kemp, and then I think we split pick 22 for 25 and maybe something else, and we picked up Sam Philp. So I don't know. I love the stories. The Prenders have spoken about Fritsch, suggesting the deal is almost done. Oh, okay. I will take their word for it. Bailey Fritsch, what's his age? Bailey Fritsch, age. He's 28. Not bad. Not bad. MDR, you liked when Chris Davies said premierships are not won in the preseason, but they are lost. I think he said, the premierships are not won in November, but they can be lost. Yeah. Sam, you like how the videos are structured? Yeah. Draft Guru Addict. I love Draft Guru. Wheelo, DFS, Footy Wire, all of it. When I make those videos, I have like 35 tabs open, and it's a mind fuck. And it like my brain goes into overdrive, but there's just something cathartic about when it all gets put together and the video just comes out, and then one by one, it's kind of like, when you have like a 500 piece puzzle and you just like put all the pieces out, and then one by one you put it all together. That's what these videos are like. I won the Brownlow for Blue Abroad content and entertainment. Thank you. Jason, this is the turning point. You like the moves. Yeah, look, looks like the department is getting a real boost with our CEO and now our head of football. Some people say we definitely aren't getting Fritsch. Some people say we are. So until he requests a trade, not believing anything. That is the best way to go about it. Bailey Fritsch. My best way of doing things at this point is that nobody knows anything. Nobody knows anything. Okay. 18th of November, 2021, Bailey Fritsch signed a long-term deal, which will keep him until at least the end of 2026. Okay. So there you go. There you go. Winnow, when you're watching me, you have several screens. Love your work. Yeah. Sarsho Elliott, this is Carlton's biggest spring cleaning in years. Much needed. This is exactly what we were forecasting with 7 or 8 games to go in the season. We were talking about just wait, the clean out's coming, changes are coming. It's happening pretty much exactly how we thought it would. Oh, actually, I'll ask you, is the change that we're seeing now in this offseason, is it more change that you thought we would see? Is it less change that you thought we would see? And do you still think there's more to come? Eddie Maguire said in his podcast last week that Carlton are going nowhere for years to come. Well, that sounds like something Eddie would say. I also said Collingwood would go out in straight sets. So can't get them all right. No bullshit from the club. Looks like we're on the front foot. John, you did say in our Carlton People interview that we didn't have all the pieces due to long contracted players on our list. Well, they're almost gone and players are arriving at long last. Yeah. You think Gov is gone, Samuel? I was with you a few months ago. I think we need him more than what I did a few months ago, personally. Russell still needs to go. Jason, the player change is unprecedented. Yeah. This change at all levels. It was what was forecast and about time. Blue Eyes, it's positive. It's different. Kylie, it's more change than you thought, but it is what we need. Fritsch can kick. He can. You haven't got to the official draft period yet. Have to wait and see. I think there's a few more surprises coming with players who are leaving, and I don't know why. I have no information. I have no intel. I have nothing. I don't know. Part of me thinks, especially if Curnow leaves, part of me says, well, if Curnow's leaving, then you may as well just go for it. And I do wonder if that's going to lead to more players leaving. Again, I have it's just a feeling, it's a guess. If Curnow really is going to leave, I do wonder if there'll be more to go, or if it's just going to be Curnow, Silvani, and De Koning as the big name players. Yeah. David, you feel a great vibe at the club and success is not far away. Jason, all they've got to do is pull off Charlie for Flanders and Blakey, and we can challenge next year. What about if Bailey Humphrey was in the mix there? Samuel, could we see Chera leaving? Well, Chera just signed a long-term deal, I reckon January this year. Do you remember when he had the hamstrings last year? Yeah, he signed a 5-year extension, keeping him with the club until the end of 2030. That was on the 20th of January this year. I remember we talked about it because he come off the injury-plagued year last year and then got the extension. With Jack gone and Harry O'Farrell injured, Garvey's a break glass emergency player, so maybe a 1-year deal. Tim, we have not seen this level of change at the coaching level for a really long time. I'm here for it. Chera was laughing after games, could see it happening. That's a bit stiff. Sosa, quick recap. Chris Davies speaks to Carlton Media. Stephen May is available. Charlie Curnow, according to Damien Barrett, has got Geelong as his preferred destination. What was else? Jaidyn Stephenson has asked Carlton to, along with 2 other clubs, to see if they'd be interested in him. Oh, we're going to trade the compensation pick for Tom De Koning. I think that was it. Brad, as a lifetime Blue supporter, 50 plus years. Wow. You are finally going into the off-season with optimism and hope. I firmly believe that the club has finally got their off-field shit together. Yeah? Wright had to move on the spoilt brats. I reckon, Riza, you reckon the club will have about 10 or 11 changes in the player movement. That's a huge clean out. Well, we've already lost 6. Is that right? Silvani, De Koning, Chincotta, Lemmy, Fantasia. Am I forgetting someone? Charlie's not confirmed, so I won't put him there. It's not official. Who am I missing? Did I say Doc? No, I didn't say Doc. That's 6. Who am I missing? Yeah. 6 changes so far confirmed. We all want to change to the entire list, players, coaches, and managers. Well, it's happening and it's exciting days ahead. Up to 12 players could change this year. Logan, long time since you've commented and we are still fucked. Back to the good old days where the trade period is the most optimistic our fans can be. Yeah. Yeah. Tatum's tantrum. It's a rebuild of the list and the game plan. Maybe not cut the bone rebuild, but definitely a type of one. Well, Hawthorn rebuilt in 3 years from 2022 off season to now. So they also have great club. Laoi, you hate to be negative, but you've heard all this talk before from players and footy departments. Enough of the words. It's all about actions now. Finn, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. What happens if we finish bottom 4 next year? What is the ceiling and rock bottom? Well, 18th rock bottom, ceiling first. Trade period is the best. Yeah, I think you have to embrace it. You either have to tune out and take control and don't watch content or don't read anything, or you just embrace it. I'm choosing to embrace it for the madness that it is. I'm also excited for change. I want change to happen, and it is happening. So I'm leaning into it. I used to dread trade period because, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd rather do finals content any day of the week. I'd rather be gearing up for a prelim final tomorrow night than doing trade rumor content. But yeah, you got to lean into it and have some fun with it. And we will. I'm going to have a lot of fun during trade period here on this channel. So don't worry, you will all be very entertained. Mozart, Jagger coming back will be like a new recruit. Yep. Elijah Hollins will be moved with bins. Okay, so that could be 8. Sheezy, apparently Butters is coming as well. Yeah. Wheaties did publicly say that there were mental strength issues in the playing group after we were 0-4. He did. The mental toughness needs to be looked at, is what he said. But now that we know, it doesn't help that De Koning was 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Silvani was 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And Curnow was 1 foot in, 1 foot out. So that's all it takes. And I think now that makes sense as to why we heard him say with, I think it was 8 games to go. Do you remember he was on SEN and he said, we're going to spend the next 8 games really trying to find our purpose. And it got a few fans up in arms, but it kind of makes sense. They tried to figure out, like, what are we doing here? Who's staying? Who's going? Carlton fans love trade period because it gives us hope. When all had been lost with what we witnessed in the season. Blue Bagger 1966, you are back from Bali. Looking forward to trade week madness. Yeah, bring it on. 2026 is a foundation season. I'm only expecting like 10 wins, but it's about building a foundation for success. This is the most important stage of fixing the club. Must get it right. Only Motlop. I love trade rumors as long as Jesse isn't involved. John, you've got JSOS, Fogarty, McGovern, TDK, Akers, Fantasia, Doc, Elijah, Binns, Charlie, Lemmy, Monahan, Duffy, Chincotta could all be gone. That's a lot. That's 14. Yeah, that's a lot. That we didn't even, I don't even know if we cut that many in 2014, 15. Don't forget McGovern, Motlop, and Akers. I don't know. Didn't they just say that we cut too heavy last year? John, you called out a rebuild months ago. You got laughed at. Well, mate, for everyone that you got right, I'm sure you got one wrong. I think Tatum also called it a rebuild a while back. We all get laughed at all the time. All the time. We all get laughed at and we all laugh at things that are said. So at least another 5 to go. Fair. All right, guys, I think that's all we've got. Any other news? Let me just check one more. Eric, it's not a rebuild. Maybe it's not a rebuild. Maybe it's not a full. See, we are used to a rebuild meaning a 5-year plan, which takes 7 years. Sorry, which takes 8 years to get into finals. That's what we are used to. Maybe it's just a refresh. It's an Alt F4. Would I keep Will White and Akers? Sure. I think I would. All right. It's nearly 5 p.m. Guys, I will see you tomorrow. That's the daily recap for today. Chris Davies interview with Carlton Media, Tom DeConing compensation pick, Stephen May, Jaidyn Stephenson, and yeah. See you tomorrow. I'll be live from 4 p.m. and then we will finish the fan cams tomorrow. Just after 6, we will finish with the Wheel of Names, and someone is coming with me to the best and fairest. So if you do get a phone call from me tomorrow, please pick it up. Please pick up the phone, and yeah, we'll go from there. I'll see you all tomorrow, 4 p.m. Go Blues.